You're listening to the Tom O'Brien Show. As part of Tom's new Tiger Life series, we join in as Tom interviews Peter Merriam from Merriam Vineyards. For more on Tiger Life, go to TFNN.com.
Now, when I was looking at the video, I saw you not only were walking through, but then you basically, you took a plastic bag, you were putting the wine, the grapes in it, right? And
Correct.
you were explaining that you're looking for a certain brick level. Can you walk us through how this works?
Sure. As far as sampling the berries, once we go through this veraison stage that I was speaking of, and we get like 100% veraison, where all that cluster is now purple.
Okay.
That's when we start going into the vineyard and kind of tasting. Just walking through and putting the fruit into your mouth, seeing what the acid, the bitterness, and all that. And
yes.
Stuff. And then we will determine as the fruit level starts to come up a little bit more, that's when we'll start going through and collecting individual berry samples by walking down every single row, alternating sunny side to shadow side, consistently through the vineyard, collecting all those berry samples, and then start bringing them back into the lab where we have a refractometer or a hydrometer that we measure the degree of sugar in the grapes.
Yes.
And for instance, like a table grape that you would get at the supermarket is about 18% sugar, 16 to 18.
Okay.
So the wine grapes that we're trying to get in, we want to have them around 24.5 to 25.5 degrees brick sugar.
I see.
So when we gather all these samples, we crush them up in those baggies and stuff and pour in little samples, taste the juice to make sure we have the flavors that we want, where we run it through that refractometer or a hydrometer to see what the sugar levels are. We also test for tartaric acid and also pH, the acidity in the wine as well. And we chart and graph this and kind of try to determine when the harvest will be.
That's amazing. That really is. And does the harvest fluctuate, by a huge amount, Peter? How does that work?
Oh, yes. It's, I don't know, it's like a pregnancy. It can happen any time,
I love it.
You do your best to do all this due diligence.
Sure.
And you look at the weather forecast and they say, it's going to rain in 3 days or whatever. And then it's always that determination, is my fruit ready? Do we let it hang and go through this rainy period and hope for dryness and everything works out at the end? Or do we have the right sugar contents, the pH, the acid, the balance, the taste? Is that all ready to go? Can we pick now? It never, ever seems to be a perfect world where, stuff goes through quite seamlessly.
Well, once you give the go-ahead, I was watching the folks, the laborers that were picking, and I'm telling you, man, you talk about picking crews. They were like amazing. I mean, they were like running the Boston Marathon. I mean, their hands are so quick. So that was really cool, man. So, I mean, I never realized it was a by hand type of deal.
Yes, it is. Yep, and in the old days, they used to use different trellising systems and stuff where it was totally manual labor.
Yes.
And these days, some of the rows, just in case, down the road where some of this migratory workers and stuff, do kind of go away and stuff, some of the new plantings now are what we call the unilateral, so that the arms don't stick out from, let's say, east to west. It just goes north-south, if you would.
I see.
One row. But hand harvesting is very important. They do a lot of mechanical harvesting now on large parcels of land and such, but you really don't get a chance to sort that fruit in mechanical harvesting. When you have it hand harvested, that picker, even though he's going as fast as he can, if he sees a cluster that's really damaged and bad, he'll leave it right on the vine.
Right on the vine. Now, okay, so, you found the vineyard. You have all this work, and, it's kind of interesting what you said is about, it's like a baby. I guess the only difference is that, 9 months for a baby, we're already in this for 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a little longer birth deal. There's no doubt about that. Talk to me, about, I was watching, as I'm watching the video, there's 5 or 6 years at a table, all the grapes are going up there. I mean, is everything picked over like that again?
Yes. Once we
That
get
is
all
so
the,
cool. Yeah.
Once we get all the fruit into the barn or into the processing center, the winery, and stuff, the wines are dumped into a big overhead
Yes.
bin and auger, and they are dropped onto this conveyor belt. It's, I don't know, 3 feet wide, 4 feet wide,
Yes.
8 to 10, 12 feet long, and we just spread out all the fruit on there and pull out any fruit that might be raisined or dehydrated.
Right.
And the reason for that, too, is if all those raisins and stuff went through, like in mechanical harvesting and stuff
Okay.
like that, and for instance, we had one crop load that we got in our Cabernet Franc from Jones Vineyard.
Yes.
We got 3 tons of that fruit. We only make 150 cases of that annually.
Wow.
But when we got the fruit on the sorting table, it was in such distress
Yes.
that we had to push all of the clusters of grapes over to one side, and it left all the raisins and such on one side of the conveyor belt. So we were literally just scooping the raisins up and putting them into a bin. And so out of the 3 ton that we got from this grower, 1/2 of 1 ton was all raisin fruit.
That's amazing.
If we had let that gone right straight through, our Cabernet Franc in 10 would taste like port. It would be really raisiny and stuff, so it's real important for us to sort that.
Huge.
Going through.
So as you're doing this, your wife and you must get really psyched. I mean, you're watching, basically the fruits of your labor coming through, and it's like, it's the yin and yang, right? It's like, okay, was the weather good to us? Were the grapes good to us? All those. Tell me the thoughts that are going through your head as that is coming up the conveyor belt.
Oh yeah, it's you just wait all year long. I mean, you're watching the weather, you're making sure that everything's gone right. You're pruning, you're selective dropping of the fruit,
Yes.
all your amendments. All the labors of love, through the summer, into late summer and fall, and all of a sudden it's like it's time.
Here we go.
We've got to go, and when that fruit is ready to go, it's a matter of you could be off by 3 days and kind of blow the whole thing if you let the fruit hang too long.
That's focus, man.